Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into Vidiot Entertainment Studios for this episode of Vidiot Movie Reviews. I'm the nerd Lust Daddy, and today we continue our series reviewing every North American live-action video game film adaptation theatrical release. And today, we jump back on the Uwe Boll train as we review 2008's In the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege tale.
I'll withhold my judgment.
Chopheads. It seems that the more he made these things, the more they could go either way. So let's start off by diving into the games released at the time. Now, In the Name of the King was released in North American theaters on January 11, 2008. At this time, a total combination of 5 games and expansions had been released in the series. Dungeon Siege, its expansion Legends of Arana, Dungeon Siege 2, its expansion Broken World, and Dungeon Siege Throne of Agony. Now, after watching the film and researching the games, we're going to use the first game for comparison, as the film seems heavily based on it. Now in the game, the plot involves the Kingdom of Ebb, where a farmer's village comes under the attack of creatures called the Krug. This farmer, presented nameless and backgroundless, fends off the Krug attack on their village and then journeys to the nearby town of Stonebridge. Once there, they help defend the town from more Krug forces, and then are tasked by the town's garrison leader to journey to the town of Glassern and warn the Ebb military of the invading Krug. Upon reaching Glassern, they are informed that the invasion began on the same day that the kingdom's Grand Mage Merrick disappeared. They are then tasked with traveling through the mountains to Fortress Croth to assist there. On their way, they come across Merrick, who informs them that the invasion is part of a larger plan by the Sec, who are beings that centuries ago destroyed the previous Empire of Stars and were imprisoned beneath Castle Ebb but have escaped and taken it over. Merrick then tasks the player with retrieving the Staff of Stars that once held the Sec imprisoned within a vault below the castle. Upon retrieving the staff, they continue to Fortress Koth, where they assist with the clearing of monsters and undead, and then continue their journey to Castle Ebb. There they battle the Sec forces in an attempt to kill their leader Gom, imprison them once again, and rescue King Conread. Now the film's plot involves the Kingdom of Ebb as well, and in the town of Stonebridge, a man named Farmer, with no known origin, lives with his wife Solana and their son Zeph. One day the town is attacked by the Krug, who are a race of creatures, not known for taking up arms or armor, and usually keep to themselves. During this attack, we learn that the Krug is being controlled by Galleon, a powerful magus and old friend of the King's Magus, Merrick, who's turned enemy to the kingdom. Using his influence, Galleon seduces Merrick's daughter to siphon her innate magus powers while also working with the king's nephew, Duke Fallow, to kill and overthrow the king so that Fallow can have the throne while Galleon rules from the shadows. During all of this, Farmer fights off the Krug that are attacking his farm, and then he travels into town to look for his wife and son who'd gone there alone. Upon arriving, he helps fend off the Krug and attempts to save his wife and son, who end up captured and killed respectively. The King of Ebb, King Conread, arrives in town to pay his respects and attempt to recruit people to the cause of fighting off the Krug. While this is happening, Merrick senses something within Farmer and attempts to convince him that he has a greater cause and should help the king rather than run off on his own, attempting to find his wife and seek vengeance for his son. Farmer declines and then joins up with his old father figure Nord and his brother-in-law Bastian to hunt down the Krug and attempt to find his wife. Alright, I don't want to go too deep into the plot of the movie, but as you can see, we have some of the same characters, antagonists, and common plot lines, and I found the plot to be quite similar to the games and also able to hold its own regardless. It even contains some interesting twists throughout that I found quite amusing. This gets a definite hawoo from me. Pidds, what did you think of the plot?
Woo!
So what about setting and world representation? Well, we get the Kingdom of Ebb within a medieval-like setting, we get swords and sorcery, we also get representations of the Krug along with main characters from the game such as Merrick, King Conread, and the Farmer. Honestly, this is probably one of the most accurate Uwe Boll adaptations so far. I can't find much fault here, so this gets an ecstatic hawoo from me. Pidds, what did you think of setting and world representation?
Woo!
Let's now get into the characters and focus on the main ones, along with those represented from the games, as well as those portrayed by major actors. Here, again, you're not going to believe some of the big-name stars Uwe Boll was able to get for this film. We'll start out with Commander Tarish. played by Brian White, known for his roles in The Game Plan and The Cabin in the Woods. Here he plays the commander of King Conrad's forces and is a representation of the character Captain Tarish from the game. The portrayal is one of a dedicated soldier to the crown, as well as a highly skilled one with little to no equal. Definite hawoo here from me. Pidds, what did you think of Tarish?
Hawoo!
Merrick. John Rhys Davis, known for his roles in the classic sci-fi TV series Sliders, as well as Gimli in Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings trilogy. Now here, he plays the King's Grand Magus, which is an adaptation of the Grand Mage character Merrick from the game. Rhys Davis brings power and respect to the role with his typical dramatic Shakespearean style of acting, and he represents his character as one loyal to the king, as well as determined to protect his daughter and the kingdom of Ebb from Galleon's invading Krug forces. It's a very strong performance that gets a very strong hawoo from me. Pidds, what did you think of Merrick?
Hawoo!
Muriela, portrayed by Lili Sobieski, known for her roles in Deep Impact, Eyes Wide Shut, and the titular role in the TV series Joan of Arc. Here she plays the daughter of Merrick, who has been seduced by Galleon and also hungers for her father to allow her outside of the castle walls so that she can explore and grow her powers as a woman and as a magus. The performance is very strong here, as you can feel her pain from the manipulations of Galleon, as well as those from being trapped in a gilded cage. When she finally is allowed to spread her wings and grow as a character, she exudes courage, strength, and power. Another good performance that gets a hawoo from me. Pidds, what did you think of her?
Hawoo!
Duke Fallow, played by Matthew Lillard of Scream and Scooby-Doo fame. Here, he's the nephew of King Conrad, who schemes behind the scenes and plots with Galleon to overthrow the king and take the crown for his own. The performance is fantastic, if not, at times, intentionally off-putting, as Lillard goes all in as the sniveling, cowardly, drunken, attempted usurper of the throne. He truly acts his ass off as this disgusting example of a human being and gets a solid hawoo from me. Pidds, what did you think of the Duke?
Hawoo!
King Conrad, the incomparable and iconic Burt Reynolds, known for his roles in Smokey and the Bandit, The Longest Yard, and its remake, plays the role of the king. This is an adaptation of the king of the same name from the game, and in typical Burt Reynolds fashion, his portrayal is of a strong, stoic, and calm man of thought before action, able to take mercy, but also able to bring well thought out and swift justice. He truly comes off as kingly, and the role was quite enjoyable to watch be brought to life by him. This is another easy hawoo for me. Pidds, what did you think of the king?
Hawoo!
Norik, played by Ron Perlman, known for his roles in the TV series Beauty and the Beast and Sons of Anarchy, as well as playing Hellboy in the movie of the same name, as well as its sequel. Here he plays the father figure to Farmer who helped raise him. Now this character is very loosely adapted from the character of the same name from the game, found dying by the player at the beginning of their journey. I have to say this version of the character is definitely more interesting. He comes off as a father figure willing to rib and jab his adopted son to nudge some sense into him, as well as an older man still full of strength and courage who's willing to stand by his family and to see justice done. Easy hawoo here from me. Pidds, what did you think?
Hawoo!
Solana, Claire Forlani, known for her roles in Meet Joe Black and Mystery Men, portrays the wife of Farmer who is abducted by the king. The performance conveys a mother in pain over the loss of her son, as well as being separated from her husband. Through all of this, she still shows courage, strength, and defiance against the Krug, as well as Galleon. It's a very solid performance and one I can give a hawoo to. Pidds, what did you think of Solana?
Hawoo!
Galleon, played by Ray Liotta of Goodfellas and Blow fame. This role appears to be a loose adaptation of the character Gom from the game, who is behind the Krug invasion and leader of the Sec. Here, he's the main antagonist and discredited magus that leads the Krug in an attempt to overthrow the kingdom and conquer it. The portrayal is strong as he comes off as power man and lacking any concern for human life in his endeavor to seize the kingdom for his own. It's a very strong, villainous performance that I enjoyed and I can certainly give a hawoo to. Pidds, what did you think of him?
Hawoo!
Farmer, portrayed by Jason Statham, known for his roles in films such as Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, and Crank. Here, he's the nameless and backgroundless farmer that is a representation of the main player character from the game and husband and father in the film. The performance here is fantastic as he comes off as a father and husband willing to face the odds to save his wife and avenge his son. Furthermore, he exudes the presence of a man with finely honed combat skills that do not seem natural for a man of his position, which lends a further sense of mystery regarding this character's origins. Solid hawoo here from me. Pidds, what did you think of Farmer?
Hawoo!
Let's get into our final verdicts. Straight up, I was highly surprised by this film, as the expectation for a Uwe Boll film is that at best they might be average and at worst just awful. But as time goes on, his directing and adaptation skills do seem as if they have increased. Let's turn to the Pidds first to see what he thinks. Pidds, what did you think of In the Name of the King?
Hawoo!
Emphatically agree. I was very surprised by this film and was entertained throughout. The fighting and battle choreography is on par with some higher-end films. Jason Statham definitely brings his action movie A-game, but isn't the only highlight, as all the fights and battles are entertaining and well choreographed. The setting is excellent, and the acting from the top-tier talent is excellent. We even get some really good representation overall of the video game world, as well as the characters, even if some liberties are taken, but they're honestly for the better. The runtime is a little long, clocking it in at around 2 hours 40 minutes minus the credits, and some of the special effects are lacking, but not so much and so often as to detract from the film's enjoyment. The best way I can describe this film is it's Uwe Boll's The Lord of the Rings in presentation, scope, and runtime. I can't believe I'm going to say this about a Uwe Boll film, but I can easily give this an 8 out of 10. It loses a point for the runtime and for the special effects, but overall, this is a really good and entertaining film and video game adaptation. I'm not sure why it didn't do better at the box office, other than Uwe Boll's reputation probably preceded it. Seriously though, you should check this film out if you're a fan of the original game or the series in general, or a fan of sword and sorcery fantasy epics. It's surprisingly good and will be well worth your time. The Pidds and I want to thank you all for once again tuning into Vidiot Entertainment Studios. If you enjoyed our video, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and share to show your support. And don't forget to also check us out and subscribe on Twitch, as well as follow us on Twitter. Until next time, I'm the Nerd Lust Daddy, as always, reminding you all to not be chit futters to each other. Body autonomy for all, reproductive rights for women, and peace, love, and happiness to all. Say goodbye, Pidds.
Thank yous for watching. See you next week.